Sophia Kovacs had translated for diplomats, CEOs, and heads of state. She'd interpreted peace negotiations, trade agreements, and international treaties. In 7 languages, she'd helped people communicate across borders and cultures, but she'd never translated for a room full of criminals before. The assignment had come through her agency that afternoon, urgent, high-paying, requiring Russian and Ukrainian fluency, a private business negotiation between international clients. The location, a luxury penthouse in Tribeca. The pay, $5,000 for 3 hours of work. Sophia should have known better, should have asked more questions, should have trusted the instinct that said something felt wrong. Instead, she'd thought about her student loans, the crushing debt from her linguistics degree that never seemed to shrink no matter how many UN contracts she took. $5,000 would make a real dent. Now, standing in the marble-floored penthouse, surrounded by men in expensive suits with cold eyes and visible weapons, she understood her mistake. This wasn't a business negotiation. This was a criminal summit. "The Southern Territories," one man said in Russian, his accent placing him from Moscow. "We control the ports. That gives us leverage in pharmaceutical distribution." Sophia translated into Ukrainian for the man across the table, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her throat. Professional, detached, as if she interpreted criminal conspiracies every day. "The ports are disputed," the Ukrainian man replied, his tone sharp. "The Bratva claims control, but the families in Odessa would disagree. You control nothing without their cooperation." She translated back into Russian, watching the Moscow man's expression darken. There were 6 men total around the conference table. Russians, Ukrainians, one man who'd spoken in German, another in Italian. All of them dangerous. All of them discussing territory, distribution, and what sounded disturbingly like human trafficking with the casual tone of corporate executives. And Sophia was translating every word. At the head of the table sat a man who hadn't spoken yet. Tall, dark-haired, maybe late 30s, with the kind of presence that made everyone else seem diminished. He watched the negotiations with pale gray eyes that missed nothing, occasionally making notes in a leather-bound journal. Every time Sophia translated, his gaze flickered to her, assessing, calculating, as if determining her exact value. The meeting continued for 2 hours. Sophia's throat grew dry, her hands trembled slightly, but she kept translating, kept pretending this was normal, kept hoping that if she just did her job and left quietly, she'd survive this mistake. "Then we're agreed," the Moscow man finally said. "Territory divisions as outlined, distribution networks shared, percentages as negotiated. The Morozov organization mediates disputes." The man at the head of the table, Morozov, apparently, finally spoke. His voice was cultured, accent placing him as Russian, but educated internationally. "Before we finalize, gentlemen, one concern, our translator." Every eye in the room turned to Sophia. Her heart stopped. "She's heard quite a bit tonight," Morozov continued in perfect English, those gray eyes locked on her face. "Enough to cause significant problems for all of us if she chooses to share what she's learned." "Kill her," the German said simply. "Simplest solution." "Wasteful," Morozov replied. "She speaks 7 languages fluently. That's a rare skill set. I'm not in the habit of destroying valuable resources." "Then what do you suggest?" the Ukrainian asked. Morozov stood, moving around the table with predatory grace. He stopped directly in front of Sophia, so close she could smell his cologne, something expensive and cold. "Miss Kovacs," he said softly, "you work for the UN, correct? Freelance translator, diplomatic corps, peace negotiations, very impressive credentials." Yes." Her voice came out strangled. How did he know her name? She'd been hired through an anonymous agency, told the client was confidential. 7 languages: English, Hungarian, Russian, Ukrainian, German, French, Italian, and you're working on Mandarin, I believe. Almost conversational. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "I've done my research. I always research before meetings. You knew who I was, before tonight. I requested you specifically." He circled her slowly, like a predator assessing prey. The agency thinks they sent their best available translator. They don't know I made sure you were the only one available tonight. Sophia's blood ran cold. This was a setup. This was a recruitment. Morozov gestured to the other men. Gentlemen, allow me to introduce Alexei Morozov. I facilitate communications between organizations that traditionally don't trust each other. I speak 5 languages myself, but 7 is better. And Miss Kovacs here has something I lack: diplomatic training, UN credentials, and a reputation for discretion. What are you saying? Sophia whispered. I'm saying you're wasted on peace negotiations and trade agreements. Your talents would be better utilized in my organization. He pulled out his phone, showed her a screen. Your apartment. 2 bedrooms, Columbia University area. You share it with your sister, Anna, who's in medical school. Your mother lives in New Jersey, works as a school teacher. Your father passed away 3 years ago. My condolences. The casual invasion of her privacy was more terrifying than the weapons in the room. You've been watching me. I've been evaluating you. There's a difference. He pocketed the phone. You have debts totaling $200,000. You work 80-hour weeks trying to make minimum payments. You're brilliant, undervalued, and desperately in need of financial security. So, you're offering me a job. Her voice dripped with bitter sarcasm. How generous. I'm offering you a choice. Alexei's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in his eyes. Work for me exclusively. Translate for my negotiations. Interpret communications I intercept. Facilitate discussions between organizations I mediate. In exchange, I'll pay you $200,000 a year, clear your debts immediately, and provide security for you and your family. And if I refuse, then you become a liability I can't afford. He said it so casually, as if discussing the weather. You've heard too much tonight, seen too much. Translated deals that could put everyone in this room in prison for life. I can't let you walk away with that information. You'll kill me. Her hands clenched into fists. That's what you're saying. I'd prefer not to. As I said, you're too valuable to waste. But yes, if you refuse to work for me, you can't be allowed to leave this building alive. He tilted his head slightly. I'm told I'm being quite generous, actually. Most people in your situation don't get offered employment. The other men at the table watched with varying degrees of interest, some bored, some amused, all of them clearly comfortable with the casual discussion of murder. This is insane, Sophia said. You can't just kidnap someone and force them to. I'm not kidnapping you, I'm recruiting you, with considerable motivation, admittedly, but the choice is yours. Alexei moved closer again. Work for me, use your extraordinary talents in service of my organization, and live well, or refuse and die here tonight. Simple decision. That's not a choice. That's coercion. That's business. His hand came up to cup her chin, tilting her face up to meet his eyes. You speak 7 languages, Miss Kovacs. Do you know what that tells me? It tells me you understand that communication is power, that words shape reality, that translation isn't just converting phrases, it's controlling narrative. Despite her fear, Sophia felt a flicker of recognition. He understood. Most people thought translation was mechanical, simple substitution, but it wasn't. Every choice in translation shaped meaning, influenced perception, controlled information flow. You need someone who speaks for you, she said quietly, understanding dawning. Someone who can interpret not just words, but intent, context, nuance. Exactly. His thumb brushed across her jawline. The men in this room represent 5 different criminal organizations. They don't trust each other. They barely speak the same languages. But they trust me to facilitate their agreements because I control the conversation. I shape the narrative. I make sure everyone understands exactly what I want them to understand. And you want me to do that for you. I want you to be my voice across languages and cultures, my interpreter, my analyst, my linguistic weapon. His expression intensified. You'll translate what I need translated. You'll intercept communications in languages I don't speak. You'll attend negotiations and tell me not just what was said, but what was meant. You'll become my ears and my voice in 7 languages. You want to control how I use my skills. I want to monopolize your skills. Yes. He released her chin, stepped back. You're too valuable to remain freelance, Miss Kovacs. Someone was bound to recruit you eventually. I'm simply ensuring that someone is me. Sophia looked around the room, at the criminals calmly waiting for her decision, at the weapons they carried without concern, at the luxury penthouse that represented more wealth than she'd see in 10 lifetimes. Then she looked at Alexei Morozov, this dangerous man who'd researched her, manipulated her, and now offered her a devil's bargain wrapped in financial security. If I agree, she said carefully, what exactly does working for you entail? You'll live in a secure location I provide. You'll attend meetings like this one, translate negotiations, analyze intercepted communications. You'll accompany me to international dealings. You'll be available when I need linguistic services. He paused. And you'll speak to no one about what you hear. Your words belong to me, Miss Kovacs. All of them. That sounds like prison. That sounds like employment with exceptional security measures. His slight smile was cold. You'll be well compensated, well protected, and well treated. But yes, your freedom will be significantly restricted. That's the price of knowing my business. And my family? Protected. Your sister's medical school paid for. Your mother's mortgage cleared. They'll be told you've taken a high-security position that requires limited contact. They'll be safe, as long as you cooperate. It was a trap, a beautiful, terrible trap. But Sophia couldn't see a way out that didn't end with her death. I need to think about it, she tried. No. Alexei's expression didn't change. You decide now. Work for me, or die here. I don't have time for deliberation. Sophia's breath came short and fast. 7 languages, a lifetime of study, of work, of believing she was helping make the world better through communication. Now she'd be using those skills to help criminals negotiate territory and trade in human suffering. But she'd be alive. Her sister would finish medical school. Her mother would keep her house. And maybe somehow Sophia would find a way to use her position for good. To gather information. To eventually escape. To... I agree, she said, before she could change her mind. I'll work for you. Alexei's smile was slow, satisfied, and utterly terrifying. Excellent decision, Miss Kovacs. Welcome to my organization. He extended his hand. Sophia stared at it, understanding that taking it meant sealing her fate. Then she placed her hand in his and felt the trap close around her. From this moment, Alexei said softly, your words belong to me, all of them, in all 7 languages. Alexei's apartment, no, compound, occupied an entire floor of a building in the financial district. The space was less a home and more a fortress disguised as luxury. Bulletproof windows, reinforced doors, security cameras in every corner, and armed guards positioned discreetly throughout. Sophia's room was bigger than her entire apartment had been. King bed, private bathroom with marble everything, a sitting area with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. It was beautiful, elegant, a cage with a view. Your belongings will arrive tomorrow, Alexei said, standing in the doorway. He'd removed his suit jacket, rolled up his shirt sleeves, looking less like a crime lord and more like a successful executive. The illusion didn't fool Sophia. Clothes, personal items, anything you need. I took the liberty of having your apartment packed professionally. You mean you had people go through my things without permission? I mean I expedited your transition. He moved into the room, and Sophia resisted the urge to step back. Your sister has been informed you've taken a high-security government position requiring relocation. Your mother received the same message. They'll be able to video call you twice a week, monitored for security purposes. Monitored so I can't tell them the truth. Monitored so no one can use your family to gather intelligence on my operations. Yes. He pulled out his phone, showed her a banking app. Your debts have been cleared. All of them. Student loans, credit cards, medical bills from your father's illness. You're financially free for the first time in your adult life. Sophia stared at the screen, showing zero balances across accounts that had haunted her for years. Financial freedom bought with her freedom. The irony was bitter. "Why me?" she asked quietly. "Really, there are other translators, other linguists. Why go through all this trouble?" "Because you're the best." Alexei pocketed the phone. "I've listened to recordings of your UN work. Your translation isn't just accurate, it's nuanced. You understand context, subtext, cultural implications. When you translate, you don't just convert words, you convey meaning. That's rare." "So you researched me, manipulated events to get me to that meeting, and forced me into employment because I'm good at my job." "That's insane." "That's recognizing value and securing it before competitors do." He moved closer. "The Kozlov organization was watching you. So was the Calabrese family. You would have been recruited by someone eventually, probably less pleasantly than this." "This wasn't pleasant." "You're alive, debt-free, and your family is protected. Others wouldn't have been so generous." His hand came up to tilt her chin, forcing her to meet his eyes. "I don't apologize for what I've done, Miss Kovacs. In my world, hesitation means losing valuable assets. I saw what you could offer, and I took it." "You took me." "I secured your services. There's a difference." His thumb traced her jawline in a gesture that felt far too intimate. "You'll come to understand that in time." Sophia jerked away from his touch. "When do I start this forced employment?" "Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. I have a conference call with associates in Moscow and Kiev. You'll translate, analyze tone and subtext, and brief me afterward on anything you noticed that I might have missed." He moved toward the door. "Get some rest. You'll need it." "Wait." Sophia's voice stopped him. "You speak 5 languages yourself. Why do you need me for Russian and Ukrainian? You understand both." Alexei turned back, something almost like approval in his expression. "Because when I'm in a negotiation, I need to focus on strategy, not translation. And because having a translator gives me time to think while you convert their words. It's a tactical advantage. They speak, you translate. I have those extra seconds to formulate my response. You're using me as a buffer." "A thinking delay." "I'm using you as a strategic asset in linguistic warfare." "Yes." His smile was slight but genuine. "See? You're already proving your value by understanding the game." After he left, locking the door behind him, Sophia sank onto the bed and let the reality of her situation wash over her. She'd been kidnapped. No matter what Alexei called it, that's what this was. Forced into working for a criminal organization, trapped in a gilded cage with no apparent escape. Her phone, her personal phone, was gone. In its place, a new device sat on the nightstand. Sophia picked it up, found it already programmed with limited contacts. Alexei, his assistant Irina, building security and video call apps for her mother and sister. Nothing else. No internet browser, no social media. No way to contact anyone outside Alexei's controlled network. She was truly isolated. Sleep didn't come easily. Sophia lay awake, analyzing her situation with the same linguistic precision she applied to translation. What were her options? What leverage did she have? What escape routes existed? By morning, she'd concluded the answer to all 3 questions was very few. Irina appeared at 7 a.m., a stern woman in her 50s who brought breakfast and professional clothes in Sophia's exact size. "Mr. Morozov expects you in his office at 8. Don't be late." The office was all glass and steel, overlooking the city like a command center. Alexei sat behind a massive desk, 3 computer screens displaying different video conferences. When Sophia entered, he gestured her to a chair beside him. "Moscow is on screen 1, Kiev on screen 2, Berlin on screen 3. I need you to translate all 3 simultaneously while I listen and strategize. Can you handle that?" Simultaneous interpretation across 3 languages? Sophia's professional pride warred with her resentment. "That's extremely difficult." "That's why I pay you extremely well." He handed her a headset. "Begin when they do." For the next 2 hours, Sophia's brain worked at capacity she'd rarely accessed. Russian to English, Ukrainian to English, German to English, then English back to all 3 in rapid succession. Alexei would speak. She'd translate to the appropriate language, then convert their responses back to English for him. It was exhausting, challenging, and despite everything, exhilarating. When the calls ended, Sophia pulled off the headset, her head pounding. Alexei handed her water and ibuprofen without being asked. "Your assessment?" he said. The Moscow contact is lying about shipment numbers. His word choice in Russian was too careful, too rehearsed. The Kiev associate is nervous about territory disputes. He used softening language that suggests fear. Berlin is solid, no deception detected, but he's frustrated with the Moscow contact's delays. Alexei's expression shifted to something that looked almost like respect. "Explain the Moscow lie." He said shipments were proceeding as planned, idut po planu, but native speakers in casual conversation would say idut normalno, going normally. The formal phrase suggests he's reciting a prepared statement to cover for problems. "Excellent catch." Alexei made notes. "That confirms intelligence I received yesterday. Moscow is experiencing supply chain issues they're trying to hide." "Why hide it from you? You're supposed to mediate between organizations." "Because admitting weakness to a mediator means I might favor their competitors in negotiations. Everyone lies to me, Miss Kovacs. Your job is to help me see through those lies." He stood, moved to the window. "You did exceptional work this morning, better than I'd hoped. Don't expect me to be grateful for compliments on my forced labor. I expect you to be professional." "Which you were." He turned back to face her. "This is your life now, Sophia. May I call you Sophia?" "You're holding me prisoner. First names seem inappropriate." "I'm employing you under restrictive conditions, and I'll call you Sophia because we'll be working closely together, and formality becomes tedious." He moved closer. "You can call me Alexei, or sir, if you prefer the distance. I'll call you my captor. Call me what you like, but understand this." His hand caught her chin again, holding her gaze. "Your words belong to me now, in 7 languages. Every translation, every interpretation, every linguistic analysis. You speak for me, and only for me. That's the arrangement. Until when? When does this servitude end? When I decide you've fulfilled your value. Or when you prove your loyalty, absolutely." His thumb brushed across her lower lip. "Whichever comes first." 2 weeks into her captivity, Sophia refused to call it employment. She'd translated 12 negotiations, analyzed 47 intercepted communications, and accompanied Alexei to 3 in-person meetings that required her linguistic skills. She'd also discovered that Alexei Morozov was far more dangerous than she'd initially understood. "The Italian says he'll deliver the shipment by Friday," Sophia translated during a video conference with a man whose face was obscured. "But his phrasing suggests uncertainty. He's not confident in that timeline." Alexei's expression didn't change, but his fingers tapped once against his desk. A tell she'd learned meant he was recalculating strategy. "Ask him what obstacles he foresees." Sophia posed the question in Italian. The man's response was evasive, full of generalizations about logistics and customs. "He's lying," Sophia said quietly to Alexei after muting the microphone. "He's using distancing language. The shipment, instead of our shipment. There might be, instead of we're experiencing. Something's already gone wrong. Which means he's lost the shipment and is buying time before admitting it." Alexei unmuted. "Tell him he has 24 hours to provide tracking confirmation, or I'll assume the goods are lost, and his organization will be held responsible for the financial loss." Sophia translated, watching the man's face go pale even through the poor video quality. When the call ended, Alexei turned to her with something that looked almost like approval. "You're becoming quite good at detecting deception." "I'm a translator. I notice when people's words don't match their intent." Sophia closed her laptop. "What happens to that man if he can't deliver?" "His organization pays restitution. If they refuse, I mediate a settlement that usually involves surrendering territory or assets." Alexei stood, moved to the window. "If they still refuse, then consequences become more severe." "You mean violent." "I mean final." He said it so casually, as if discussing the weather. I facilitate cooperation between criminal organizations, Sophia. My value lies in enforcing agreements. If I allow people to break deals without consequence, my mediation becomes meaningless. So you're a crime lord who punishes other crime lords. That's your business model. I'm a neutral arbiter who ensures the underworld operates with some semblance of order. Yes. He turned back to face her. You disapprove. I'm translating for criminals negotiating drug routes and human trafficking. Of course I disapprove. And yet you're excellent at it. Alexei moved closer, invading her space the way he always did. These 2 weeks, you've shown remarkable skill. More than skill, intuition. You understand the game now. You see the strategies beneath the words. That doesn't mean I like it. No, but it means you're good at it. And in my world, being good at something is more valuable than liking it. His hand came up to brush a strand of hair from her face, a gesture that had become almost habitual. You're wasted on the UN, Sophia. Peace negotiations between governments who pretend it's civility while planning wars. At least in my world, everyone knows they're criminals. That's not the moral high ground you think it is. I don't claim moral high ground. I claim honesty about what we are. His fingers traced down her jawline. You're starting to understand that. I can see it in how you analyze the conversations. You're not translating anymore. You're strategizing, thinking like I do. Sophia jerked away from his touch. Don't confuse competence with complicity. I do this job because I don't have a choice. You do it well because you're brilliant. The lack of choice is just what got you here. Alexei's phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression darkening. We have a situation. Get your coat. What kind of situation? The kind that requires 7 languages and your particular skills. We're going to Brighton Beach. The drive took 40 minutes through afternoon traffic. Sophia sat in the back of the armored SUV beside Alexei, 2 of his guards in front. He spent the trip on his phone speaking rapid Russian, his tone sharp and controlled. What's happening? Sophia finally asked. A deal is falling apart. Ukrainian and Russian factions meeting to divide territory, but someone's playing games. They requested neutral mediation, me, and specifically asked that you translate. He looked at her. That concerns me. Why? Because you're not known outside my organization yet. Someone's done research. Someone knows I have a 7-language translator, and someone wants access to you. The meeting was in a restaurant basement. Private room, heavily guarded, tense atmosphere. 2 groups of men sat on opposite sides of a table, weapons visible, expressions hostile. Morozov, one man said in Ukrainian, your translator. We want her for this negotiation, not you. Sophia translated automatically, watching Alexei's expression remain carefully neutral. Miss Kovacs translates for me, Alexei said. She works under my direction. We'll pay her directly for this session, 5,000, just like her old rate. The Ukrainian man's smile was cold. We know all about Sophia Kovacs, UN translator, 7 languages, stolen by you 2 weeks ago. The room went silent. Stolen is a strong word, Alexei said quietly, dangerously. Miss Kovacs is my employee. Miss Kovacs is your prisoner. The man looked at Sophia. We're offering you a way out, translator. Work for us instead. We'll pay better, treat you better, and you won't be held against your will. Sophia's heart hammered. This was it, an escape route, a chance to break free from Alexei's control. Tell them no, Alexei said softly beside her. You don't get to dictate my response. I'm not dictating. I'm advising. His hand found hers under the table, squeezed once, hard. They're lying. Look at their body language. The weapons positioned toward us, not them. This isn't a rescue, Sophia. It's a kidnapping attempt. Sophia looked again, her translator's eye for detail suddenly seeing what Alexei had already noticed. The guards were positioned to block the exit. The Ukrainian man's smile didn't reach his eyes, and the Russian faction looked surprised by the offer. This wasn't part of their negotiation. You're using this meeting as cover to take her, Alexei said, his voice dropping to lethal calm. That's a mistake. Is it? The Ukrainian stood. She's valuable. worth more than whatever you're paying her, and you can't hold her if someone offers better terms. I can, if those terms are lies. Alexei stood slowly, pulling Sophia up with him. She's under my protection. That means attempting to take her is attempting to take from me, and I don't tolerate theft. Then let her choose. Translator? The man looked at Sophia. Who do you want to work for? Every eye in the room turned to her. Sophia felt the weight of the decision. Stay with Alexei, her captor who'd forced her into this life, or take a chance with men who might be lying, but might be offering freedom. Miss Kovacs, Alexei said quietly, his hand still holding hers. Remember, words are weapons. Choose yours carefully. Sophia looked at the Ukrainian man, at his cold smile and positioned guards, then at Alexei, who'd kidnapped her but paid her debts, imprisoned her but protected her family, forced her to work but never lied about what he was. I work for Alexei Morozov, she said clearly, in English, so everyone understood. Exclusively. Any other offers are declined. The Ukrainian's expression darkened. You're making a mistake. She's making the smart choice, Alexei said, because unlike you, I don't need to lie about my terms. She knows exactly what working for me means, and she's choosing known conditions over your promises. He moved toward the exit, pulling Sophia with him. This negotiation is over. If you want mediation, you'll request it properly and leave my translator alone. They were almost to the door when someone grabbed Sophia's arm, one of the Ukrainian guards, yanking her backward. She gasped, stumbling, and then everything happened at once. Alexei spun, his fist connecting with the guard's jaw. The man dropped. Another guard moved forward, and Alexei's security intercepted, weapons drawn. Shouts in 3 languages filled the room. Enough! Alexei's voice cut through the chaos. He pulled Sophia behind him, his body a shield. Touch her again, and I burn your entire operation to the ground. She's mine. All of her. Her words, her skills, her loyalty. Anyone who forgets that will learn why people fear the Morozov name. The Ukrainian leader raised his hands slowly. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Alexei's arm wrapped around Sophia's waist. Possessive and protective. She chose. You lost. Accept it. In the SUV, Sophia's hands shook with adrenaline. Alexei pulled her close, his expression still dangerous. You chose me, he said quietly. I chose the devil I know over the devil I don't. You chose correctly. They would have used you, drained your value, then disposed of you. His hand tilted her face up. I won't do that. You're too valuable. To my organization, and... He stopped. And what? And to me. His thumb traced her lower lip. Your words belong to me, Sophia Kovacs, in all 7 languages, but I'm starting to think I want more than just your words. Before she could respond, he kissed her, claiming, possessive, absolute, and God help her, Sophia kissed him back. Sophia pulled away from the kiss, her breath ragged, her mind racing. That can't happen again. Why not? Alexei's voice was maddeningly calm, his thumb still tracing her jaw. Because you're my prisoner? Or because you liked it? Both. Neither. I don't know. She pushed against his chest, creating distance in the confined SUV. You can't just... You forced me into this. You don't get to kiss me like... Like what? Like I've wanted to since I first heard you translate? His hand caught hers, preventing her escape. I didn't force that kiss, Sophia. You responded. You wanted it as much as I did. That's not fair. Nothing about our situation is fair, but it's honest. He released her hand, leaned back, giving her space. You chose me in that room. Not because you had to, but because you trusted me more than you trusted them. That means something. It means I calculated which captor would keep me alive longer. That's survival, not trust. Survival requires a form of trust. Alexei's eyes held hers. You're brilliant enough to know the difference. The rest of the drive passed in tense silence. Back at the compound, Sophia went directly to her room, her cage, and locked herself in. Her mind replayed the kiss on a loop, analyzing it with the same precision she used for translation. She'd kissed him back, no denying it, and worse, she'd wanted to. What did that say about her? 3 days later, the Ukrainian faction made their next move. Sophia was alone in the office translating intercepted communications when the building's alarm system shrieked to life. Within seconds, Alexei burst through the door, 2 guards behind him. "Come with me. Now." His tone brooked no argument. "What's happening?" "Ukrainian attack. They're hitting multiple locations simultaneously. My warehouses, my businesses, and this building." He pulled her toward a hidden door in the office wall. "They want you, Sophia. This is about taking you." The hidden passage led to a secure room, reinforced walls, supplies, communication equipment. A panic room. Alexei pushed her inside, started to close the door. "Wait, where are you going?" Sophia grabbed his arm. "To handle the attack. You'll be safe here until—" "No." She held on tighter. "You're not leaving me locked in here while you're out there getting shot at." "That's exactly what I'm doing. You're too valuable to risk." "I'm not some object you can lock away for safekeeping." Her voice rose. "If they're attacking because of me, I have a right to know what's happening." Alexei's jaw tightened. "Your safety is more important than your right to information. My safety is dependent on you surviving, so don't be an idiot and get yourself killed playing hero." She pulled him fully into the room. "We both stay here, or neither of us does." Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or reluctant respect. "You're giving me orders now?" "I'm using logic. You said I was valuable. Dead, I'm worthless. But alive without your protection? I'm vulnerable. So stay alive and keep us both safe." He studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Close the door." They sealed themselves in. Alexei immediately went to the communication panel, listening to his security team coordinate defense. Sophia could hear gunfire through the reinforced walls, muffled but unmistakable. 6 hostiles breached the lobby, one guard reported in Russian, heading for the executive floor. "Intercept before they reach the office," Alexei commanded. "Non-lethal if possible. I want them alive for questioning." More gunfire, shouting, then silence that felt more ominous than sound. "Status," Alexei demanded. 4 down, 2 retreating. We're pursuing." Sophia found herself standing close to Alexei, close enough to feel the tension radiating from him. "This is because I chose you. This is because they're idiots who thought they could take what's mine." His hand found hers, squeezed. "You made the right choice. They would have treated you like property. At least I treat you like a valuable asset." "That's barely better." "It's significantly better. Assets are protected, maintained, invested in. Property is used and discarded." His eyes met hers. "I'm never discarding you, Sophia. Because I'm useful. Because you're irreplaceable." The word hung between them, weighted with meaning neither wanted to acknowledge. 20 minutes later, the all-clear sounded. The attack had been repelled, 8 hostiles dead or captured, minimal damage to the building, no casualties among Alexei's people. "They'll try again," Sophia said as they emerged from the panic room. "Probably, which is why security around you is tripling." Alexei led her back to the office, already on his phone, organizing enhanced protection. "You don't leave this floor without me. You don't translate for anyone else. You don't exist without your permission?" Sophia's frustration boiled over. "I chose you over them because you were honest about being my captor." "But you're still my captor, Alexei. You still took my freedom. And now people are dying because you won't let me go. People are dying because they're greedy and stupid." He grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to meet his eyes. "You think I'll just release you? Let you walk back to your UN job and your student debt and your ordinary life? After what you've seen? What you know? What you mean—" He stopped. "What I mean to what?" "To my organization." But his expression said something else entirely. "You're in this now, Sophia. Permanently, whether you like it or not. Then stop pretending I have choices. Stop acting like kissing me is anything other than another way to control me." She yanked free of his grip. At least be honest about what this is." "You want honesty?" Alexei's voice dropped dangerously low. "Fine. I didn't just recruit you for your languages. I could have found another translator, not as good as you, but adequate. I recruited you because from the moment I heard you translate at that first meeting, I was fascinated. The way your mind works, the precision of your analysis, the brilliance hidden behind professional detachment. I wanted all of it. You wanted to own me. I wanted to keep you." His hand cupped her face, gentle despite the intensity in his eyes. "There's a difference. Ownership is about control. Keeping you is about—" He paused, as if the admission cost him something. "It's about not being able to imagine my world without you in it anymore." Sophia's breath caught. "That's not— You can't just say things like that and expect—" "I don't expect anything. I'm being honest, like you demanded." His thumb traced her lower lip. "I'm keeping you because I'm selfish, because you've become essential, because the thought of someone else having access to your brilliance, your words, your presence, it's intolerable. That's obsession, not what? Love?" His smile was bitter. "Men like me don't love, Sophia. We possess, we claim, we keep what's valuable, and you're the most valuable thing I've ever acquired." "I'm not a thing." "No. You're a woman who speaks 7 languages, who sees through lies with terrifying accuracy, who chose to save me instead of saving herself in that panic room." His forehead touched hers. "You're extraordinary, and you're mine. Accept it." "I hate you," she whispered. "No, you don't, but you hate that you're starting not to." His lips brushed hers. "That's the trap, Sophia. Not that I forced you here, but that you're choosing to stay even when rescue presented itself." And God help her, he was right. The Ukrainian attacks continued for 3 weeks. Small strikes, probing defenses, testing Alexei's security. Each one reinforced that Sophia was the target, the valuable asset they wanted to steal, and each one pushed her closer to Alexei. "You need to eat," he said one evening, finding her still at her desk at 9 p.m., surrounded by translation files. "You've been working for 12 hours. "I'm finishing the German intercepts. There's something in the phrasing that bothers me." Sophia rubbed her eyes behind her glasses. "The contact keeps using future conditional tense when discussing past shipments. It's grammatically awkward unless he's lying about whether the shipments happened at all." Alexei moved behind her chair, reading over her shoulder, "Which means the Berlin faction is claiming deliveries they never made." "Exactly." "Someone's embezzling." Sophia leaned back, accidentally pressing against his chest. He didn't move away, neither did she. "You should audit their financial records." "I will, because of you." His hands came to rest on her shoulders, thumbs pressing into tense muscles. "You work too hard. You're literally holding me prisoner and making me work. You don't get to criticize my hours." "I'm not criticizing. I'm concerned." His fingers worked at the knots in her neck, and Sophia couldn't suppress a small sound of relief. "When's the last time you slept properly? When's the last time I wasn't worried about being kidnapped by Ukrainian criminals?" "Fair point." But his hands continued their massage, gentle and sure. "For what it's worth, the attacks are slowing. They're realizing the cost of trying to take you exceeds your value to them." "How comforting. I'm only worth a certain number of casualties." "You're worth considerably more than that to me." His voice dropped lower. "Which is why I'm ending this permanently. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with the Ukrainian leadership. Neutral ground, formal mediation. I'm making it clear that you're off limits, permanently, and any further attempts will result in total war." Sophia turned in her chair to look at him. "That's dangerous. They've been trying to kill you for weeks." "They've been trying to steal you for weeks. There's a difference. Tomorrow, I'm drawing a line they won't cross." His hand cupped her face. "Because I'm tired of you living in fear, tired of you jumping at every alarm. Tired of seeing exhaustion in your eyes because you can't sleep soundly." "You care about my sleep schedule now?" "I care about you." Simple. Direct. Devastating. I know I've given you no reason to believe that, but it's true nonetheless. Alexei, don't. Don't argue or analyze or translate it into something more comfortable. His thumb traced her lower lip. Just accept that I'm going to protect you tomorrow. Permanently. The meeting was set for noon at a warehouse in Red Hook. Neutral territory, equal security, formal mediation protocols. Sophia insisted on coming. Absolutely not, Alexei said that morning. They're negotiating about me. I should be present. They're negotiating about your status as my asset. You don't need to be there. I'm not letting you walk into danger alone because of me. Sophia crossed her arms. I'm coming, or I'll find a way to follow you. Choose. His expression flickered between frustration and something that looked dangerously like affection. You're impossible. I'm consistent. You said you wanted honesty. This is honest. I'm not hiding while you risk your life. Which was how Sophia found herself in the back of the armored SUV, headed to Red Hook with Alexei beside her and 6 guards surrounding them. The warehouse was exactly as grim as expected. 2 groups of men faced each other across a concrete floor, Alexei's people on one side, Ukrainians on the other. The leader, the same man from Brighton Beach, smiled coldly when he saw Sophia. You brought her. How considerate. I brought my translator because this negotiation requires clarity. Alexei's hand found Sophia's elbow, keeping her close. Let's be clear. Sophia Kovacs works for me, exclusively. That's not negotiable. Everything is negotiable, Morozov. You're a mediator. You should know that. Not this. She's under my permanent protection. Any further attempts to take her will be met with full retaliation. Alexei's voice was ice. I'm not asking. I'm declaring. Accept it, or face war. Big words for a man who's outnumbered. The Ukrainian gestured, and suddenly more men appeared from the warehouse shadows. 20, 30, all armed. You walked into a trap, Morozov, and you brought your precious translator right to us. Sophia's heart stopped. This wasn't a negotiation. This was an ambush. Alexei's expression didn't change, but his grip on her arm tightened. You break mediation protocols. You lose all protection under the accord. Every family will turn on you. Worth it for 7 languages and the leverage to break your organization. The Ukrainian pulled a gun. The translator comes with us. You can die, or you can watch. Choose. Everything happened at once. Alexei shoved Sophia behind him, his own weapon appearing. His guards opened fire. The Ukrainians returned it. The warehouse erupted into chaos. Gunfire, shouting, smoke. Stay down! Alexei pushed Sophia to the floor behind a concrete pillar, his body covering hers. Bullets sparked off the pillar inches from her head. Alexei, I need you to run. When I say go, you run for the east exit. My men will cover you. His eyes met hers, intense and urgent. Promise me you'll run. I'm not leaving you. You have to. This was a setup, and if they take you, everything I've built collapses. You're too valuable. A bullet grazed his shoulder. He grunted, but didn't move from shielding her. Promise me, Sophia. Blood seeped through his shirt. Sophia's hands pressed against the wound instinctively. You're hit. I'm fine. Promise me you'll run. No. Her voice was firm, despite the terror. We leave together, or not at all. That's not negotiable. Something in his expression cracked, vulnerability she'd never seen before. You stubborn, brilliant, impossible woman. Now who's being impossible? She tore fabric from her shirt, pressed it against his wound. We need to move. Both of us. Is there another exit? North side, but we'd have to cross open ground. Then we cross it. Together. Sophia looked at him directly. I chose you, remember? That means I don't abandon you when it gets hard. So stop being noble and let's survive this. His kiss was brief, fierce, tasting of smoke and desperation. On 3. We run. They ran. Bullets chased them across the warehouse floor. Alexei's guards laid down covering fire. One of them fell. Then another. But they kept moving, kept firing, kept creating a path. They burst through the north exit into an alley. Alexei's backup vehicle screeched up. He'd planned for betrayal, positioned reinforcements. Smart. Always planning. In the SUV, racing away from the chaos, Sophia's hands shook as she applied pressure to Alexei's wound. The bullet had torn through muscle but missed the bone. "Hospital," she said. "Safe house first. Can't risk public hospital." His hand covered hers, bloody and warm. "You should have run when I told you." "You should have known I wouldn't." She met his eyes. "I'm yours, remember? You don't get to sacrifice yourself without consulting your asset." "You're not an asset anymore." His voice was rough with pain and something else. "You haven't been for weeks. Maybe you never were." "Then what am I?" "Mine." His hand moved to her face, leaving a smudge of blood on her cheek. "But not the way I thought. Not property or prisoner or possession. Just mine. The way I'm yours." Sophia's breath caught. "Alexei, I love you." The words came out raw, unplanned. "I didn't mean to. Didn't want to. But somewhere between forcing you into my world and watching you choose to stay, I fell in love with you. With your brilliance, your defiance, your loyalty, despite having every reason to hate me. I should hate you, but you don't." His thumb traced her lips. "Do you?" "No." The admission felt like surrender and freedom all at once. "I don't, and I should, but I don't, and I'm furious about it." He laughed, then winced from the pain. "That's very you." "This is insane. You kidnapped me." "I know. You forced me to work for criminals." "I know. You're bleeding on me right now." "I know that, too." His eyes held hers. "Do you love me anyway?" Sophia looked at this impossible man, her captor, her protector, her obsession, the man who'd stolen her freedom and somehow given her purpose, who'd caged her and made her feel more alive than she'd ever been. "Yes," she whispered. "God help me, yes." His kiss tasted like blood and smoke and promise. The safe house was a brownstone in Park Slope, unassuming, quiet, with a doctor already waiting when they arrived. Alexei's wound was cleaned and stitched while Sophia held his hand, ignoring the doctor's suggestion that she wait outside. "I've seen worse," the doctor said in Russian, packing his supplies. "Keep it clean, antibiotics twice daily, no strenuous activity for a week." After he left, Sophia helped Alexei to the bedroom upstairs. He moved stiffly, pain evident despite his attempts to hide it. "You need to rest," she said, helping him out of his blood-stained shirt. "I need to handle the Ukrainian situation. They broke mediation protocols, declared war." They declared war on a man who's currently stitched together and running on adrenaline. Rest first, war later. Sophia pushed him gently onto the bed. "I'm not asking. When did you start giving me orders?" But he lay back, exhaustion finally showing. "When you got shot protecting me. That earns me some authority." She sat beside him, her hand finding his. "What happens now? With the Ukrainians?" "They violated every protocol. The other families will turn on them. No one tolerates breaking mediation rules. They'll be isolated, weakened." His eyes closed. "They made a fatal mistake attacking me directly." "They made a fatal mistake thinking I'd let them take me." Sophia's voice was soft. "I chose you, Alexei. In that warehouse, when you told me to run, I chose to stay with you. That's not captivity anymore." His eyes opened, finding hers. "Then what is it?" "Partnership, maybe more." She leaned down, kissed him gently. "Rest. We'll figure out the details when you're not bleeding." He pulled her down beside him, ignoring the pain in his shoulder. "Stay. I'm not going anywhere. I mean permanently, not as my prisoner or employee or asset. As my—" He paused, searching for words. "As my equal, my partner. The woman I trust with everything." "You're asking me to choose this life. Permanently?" "I'm asking you to choose me. The life comes with the package, unfortunately. But I can make accommodations, looser restrictions, more freedom, contact with your family. Alexei." Sophia pressed her fingers to his lips. "Stop negotiating. I already chose. In that warehouse, I chose. When I refused to run, I chose. When I said I love you, I chose. She took a breath. So yes, permanently, partners, equals, all of it. His hand cupped her face, reverent despite the roughness. You're sure? I'm a translator. I'm very precise with my words. Yes means yes. In all 7 languages? In all 7 languages. She smiled despite everything. Though I expect proper compensation for permanent employment. Name your terms. Actual freedom, not just looser restrictions. Real freedom to move, to see my family, to have a life outside your organization. Done. Access to your operations. If I'm your partner, I want to know everything. No more secrets. Agreed. And, she hesitated, I want to use my position to do good. I see the communications, the deals. Let me identify trafficking operations. Let me help stop the worst of what passes through your network. Alexei was quiet for a long moment. That's dangerous. It could compromise my neutrality. I don't care. If I'm part of this world, I need to make it better however I can. That's non-negotiable. You want to be my conscience and my partner. I want to be the reason you're not just another criminal lord. I want to be the reason your organization has ethics, even if they're complicated ethics. She met his eyes. Can you give me that? I can try. For you, I can try. He pulled her closer, careful of his injured shoulder. You're going to change everything, aren't you? I'm going to try, in 7 languages. 3 days later, the Ukrainian situation resolved itself. The other families, outraged by the mediation protocol violations, moved against the Ukrainian faction. Their territory was divided, their leaders disappeared, and their organization collapsed. They're gone, Alexei told Sophia, showing her the intelligence reports. Dismantled completely. You're safe now. We're safe, she corrected. We faced them together. Yes. He pulled her into his lap, mindful of his healing shoulder. Partners. Though I should warn you, being my partner means attending boring negotiations, analyzing endless communications, and dealing with criminals who think they can charm you. And being your partner means you have to listen when I tell you a deal is bad, accept when I identify corruption, and let me have actual input in decisions. This is going to be complicated. This was always complicated. We're just being honest about it now. Sophia kissed him, slow and deep. No more prisoner and captor. No more lies about what you are to me. His hands framed her face. My translator, my analyst, my conscience, my love. Your equal, she added firmly. My equal, he agreed. In 7 languages and counting. Sophia smiled. Actually, I've been working on Mandarin, so make that 8 languages. Overachiever. You kidnapped me because I'm the best. Don't complain when I keep improving. I'm not complaining, I'm admiring. He kissed her again. My brilliant, multilingual, ethically complicated partner. Your brilliant, multilingual, ethically complicated equal, she corrected. Semantics. Semantics matter. I'm a translator. Precision is everything. Then let me be precise. I love you, Sophia Kovacs. In English, so there's no mistaking my meaning. She answered him in Russian, then Ukrainian, then German, then French, Italian, Spanish, Hungarian. I love you in every language she knew, each one a promise, each one a choice freely made. The translator had been trapped, but somewhere in the cage, she'd found freedom in the most unexpected place, in the arms of the man who'd captured her. And now, speaking for him in 7 languages, she was finally speaking for herself too. 6 months later. Sophia stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of Alexei's office, their office now, watching the sun set over Manhattan. In her hand, a glass of wine. On her finger, a ring. Not an engagement ring. A signet ring bearing the Morozov crest, the symbol that she was family, partner, protected, equal. You're thinking in Russian again. Alexei's voice came from the doorway. I can tell by the expression. You always look more severe when you think in Russian. I'm analyzing the Moscow communication from this morning. The syntax bothers me. She turned to face him. They're hiding something about the shipment routes. Already identified and addressed. I had our people intercept the shipment. You were right. They were skimming off the top. He moved behind her, arms wrapping around her waist. You've saved me approximately $3 million in stolen product in the last 6 months. I should give you a raise. You already pay me more than any UN translator in history. Because you're worth more than any UN translator in history. His lips found her neck. You've revolutionized how I operate, identified 12 embezzlement schemes, prevented 8 bad deals, and managed to insert ethics into an underworld operation. It's impressive and mildly terrifying. Someone has to keep you honest, or as honest as a crime lord can be. She leaned back against him. Speaking of which, I identified another trafficking operation in the German communications. The coded language is obvious once you know what to look for. And you want me to shut it down. I want us to shut it down, together. Like we agreed. It had become their pattern over 6 months. Sophia would identify the worst operations passing through Alexei's intelligence network, and together they'd find ways to sabotage them. Anonymous tips to authorities, mysterious shipment delays, sudden funding problems. Alexei maintained his neutral mediator status while quietly dismantling the operations Sophia deemed unconscionable. You're going to get us killed one day, Alexei said, but there was affection in his voice. Doing the right thing in a criminal empire is complicated. Then it's good I'm fluent and complicated. In 7 languages. She paused. 8 now. My Mandarin is conversational. Show off. You kidnapped a show-off. That's on you. She turned in his arms, looking up at him. No regrets? About kidnapping the most brilliant woman I've ever met. Falling in love with her and letting her reshape my entire operation according to her ethical framework? He pretended to consider. No. No regrets. Even though I'm expensive, opinionated, and refuse to translate anything that facilitates human suffering. Especially because of that. His hands framed her face. You make me better, Sophia. Not good. I'll never be good, but better, more than I was. That's all anyone can ask. She kissed him softly. Though I should warn you, I've been approached by 3 other organizations trying to recruit me. His expression darkened immediately. Who? Relax. I told them all the same thing. I work exclusively for Alexei Morozov. My words belong to him in all 8 languages, and any further recruitment attempts would be very unwise. She smiled. One of them asked if I was your prisoner. I said no, I'm his partner. Then I explained the difference in Russian, German, and Italian to make sure he understood. And did he? He apologized profusely and offered you a very favorable trade deal as penance. You're welcome. Alexei laughed, the sound rich and genuine. You've terrified them. They think you're more dangerous than I am. I am more dangerous than you are. You control territory, I control information, and in 8 languages, I can destroy reputations with a single mistranslation. She said it lightly, but they both knew it was true. That's why you can't afford to lose me. That's one reason. The others are considerably more personal. He pulled her closer. I love you. Not because you're useful, though you are. Not because you're brilliant, though you are. But because you chose this, chose me, even when you had every reason to run. I chose you because you were honest. You never lied about what you were or what you wanted. You kidnapped me, yes, but you told me exactly why and exactly what it would cost. Sophia's hand slid up his chest. That's more honesty than I got from most people in my legitimate career. I'm not sure that reflects well on me or poorly on the UN. Both, probably. She kissed him again, longer this time. But here's the thing about traps, Alexei. Sometimes you walk into them willingly. Sometimes the cage becomes home. And sometimes the captor becomes the one person you trust most in the world. Is that what I am? The person you trust most? In 8 languages and counting. She smiled. Though I'm working on Arabic. So make that 9 soon. You're going to speak more languages than I do. That's concerning for my ego. Your ego will survive. It's very resilient. She glanced at her watch. We have the Moscow video conference in 20 minutes. They're negotiating the Eastern European distribution routes. And you've already analyzed the preliminary documents and identified 3 potential issues in their proposals. 4, actually. The 4th is subtle. A translation choice in the Ukrainian documents that suggests they're planning to cut Moscow out of the Polish routes entirely. Alexei pulled out his tablet, reviewed the documents she'd flagged. You're right. I missed that. How did you catch it? Because I speak both Ukrainian and Russian fluently, and I understand the cultural nuances that most translators miss. They used a word that's technically correct, but culturally specific to Western Ukraine. It signals independence, autonomy. A native Russian speaker reading it would assume cooperation, but a Ukrainian speaker recognizes it as code for going independent. You're extraordinary, you know that? I'm precise. There's a difference. But she smiled. Though I accept extraordinary as a compliment. The video conference went exactly as Sophia predicted. Moscow tried to maintain control, Ukraine positioned for independence, and Alexei mediated a compromise that satisfied both parties. Throughout it all, Sophia translated with perfect accuracy, but her real value came in the briefing afterward. The Moscow contact is nervous about something beyond this deal, she told Alexei. His word choices were defensive, protective. He's worried about threats from another direction, possibly the Chinese expansion into Eastern markets. I'll have intelligence investigate. Alexei pulled her into his lap, a habit he'd developed during their working sessions. You see patterns I miss. You see strategy, I see language. Together we see everything. She leaned back against him. That's why this works, why we work. Partnership. Equals, she corrected, as she always did. Equals, he agreed, as he always did now. In 8 languages. Later that evening, after the work was done and the compound had quieted, they stood on the balcony overlooking the city. Sophia's wine glass was empty, Alexei's arm around her waist, the night air cool against their skin. Do you ever miss it? He asked quietly. Your old life, the UN, the legitimate work, the freedom to leave whenever you wanted. Sophia considered the question seriously. 6 months ago, the answer would have been an immediate yes. Now? I miss the simplicity, she admitted. I miss believing the world was more black and white than it is. I miss thinking I was making it better through pure intentions and diplomatic translations. But I'm making more difference here. In your organization, using your resources, I've stopped trafficking operations, identified corruption, protected people who'd never have protection otherwise. It's morally complicated, but it's real impact. She looked up at him. And I found you. Found this. Found myself. In a strange way. The translator who became a criminal's partner. The translator who became a criminal's equal. His conscience and his love. She corrected him with a smile. Precision matters. Always with the precision. But his voice was full of affection. What if I told you I'd release you? Right now. Clear your obligations, give you freedom, let you return to your old life if you wanted. Sophia turned to face him fully. Are you offering that? I'm asking if you'd take it if I did. She looked at him, this dangerous, complicated man who'd kidnapped her and freed her simultaneously, who'd caged her and given her more agency than she'd ever had, who'd forced her into his world and let her reshape it according to her ethics. No, she said simply. I wouldn't take it, because this is my choice now, my life, my partnership. In 8 languages, I choose you. Every day, I choose you. His kiss was grateful, passionate, full of promises already kept and new ones forming. I love you, he whispered against her lips, my translator, my conscience, my equal. I love you, she answered in English, then Russian, Ukrainian, German, French, Italian, Spanish, Hungarian, and her still improving Mandarin. In every language I know and every one I'll learn, that's my translation, that's my truth. The translator had walked into a trap 6 months ago, had been captured, caged, claimed. But somewhere in the imprisonment, she'd found freedom. In speaking for him, she'd learned to speak for herself. In his world of shadows, she'd found her light. And now, standing on this balcony with the city spread below them, Sophia Kovacs, translator, analyst, partner, equal, and love, understood that some traps weren't meant to be escaped. Some traps were meant to be transformed into home, in 8 languages and counting. She was finally where she belonged.